Hello, so I'm here with Neil Jones, director of the Reverend. We're screening this movie today at Grimm Up North. Now, this is a premiere. I don't know, has it been screened anywhere else in the country or even in the world yet?
No, tonight is the first public screening of the film, so...
Good God.
So I'm petrified, but hopefully it's going to go down quite well. So.
Well, that's fantastic. We're very pleased and proud to have you here and have the film, the world premiere at the festival. It's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the film and a little bit about your background. I mean, there's so much to ask you, but let's start with, just give us a little idea of what this film is about.
The film's basically a vampire movie. It's about a preacher who moves into a typical quiet English village, and suddenly he kind of sees the people around him are quite nasty and quite mean, and he gets bitten by this mysterious girl, and from there he obviously becomes a vampire. But he kind of uses the whole vampirism to good rather than bad. So it's kind of like a vigilante vampire movie, really. Okay. And it's kind of loosely based on the Book of Job, but I say loosely, very loosely.
Okay. So I'm going to make a comparison, and you probably tell me it's something like that. The whole thing about being a good vampire, a little Blade has that kind of thing going on, or is it? Yeah,
kind of, in the sense that the kind of Blade is a vampire and he uses it for the good. It's kind of more really with us. It's kind of a guy who sees a lot of injustices, and he's a preacher, and he has his own faith, but he kind of sees the sort of vampirism as kind of like a chance for him to make the world a better place, really, if you like.
I repent!
So tell us a little bit about who's in it and how you got those guys to be in it.
I just come off a boxing film called Risen, and we won loads of awards on it. The hardest thing we had was that we had no real commercial names in it. So when we approached the Reverend, we really wanted to make it as commercial as possible to get as much interest. So we kind of just went through horror names, really. We got Doug Bradley, who's Pinhead from Hellraiser, Giovanni Lombardo-Radice, who did Last House on the Left, Emily Booth, who's obviously known with the Horror Channel. We got Shane Ritchie from EastEnders in a really cool little cameo.
That's horrible.
He's really good. And Tamer Hassan we brought in because he's a DVD seller and he's very commercial. And then right at the last minute we managed to get Rutger Hauer in. So,
but tell us, how did you manage to get such iconic names for in your cast, because you've got a whole broad spectrum of people that are really well known in the horror genre, and that's quite a thing to do. So how did you manage to get those guys involved?
I think the big thing with sort of named actors, if you like, is that I think sort of new producers, they kind of have a fear of approaching these big names because they think they haven't got enough money, or B, they're not going to be interested in the project. And we just phoned Rutger's agent and said, look, we need him, is he available? And we agreed a price, and when he came down to Cardiff, and I asked him, I said, why did you do this film? And he said, because you asked me. And I think a lot of the time it is that, actors kind of get booked out on blocks, and then they get maybe a week here or a week there, and I think why not? I think as long as the part is interesting.
But I'm guessing that the film has been made on a reasonably tight budget, I would imagine. Yeah. So those kind of caliber of actors, particularly Rutger Hauer, I presume isn't cheap to get on a movie. So how about that? How was that? How did you deal with that? Was it an expensive film?
It was expensive. When we approached the film, we obviously worked out our budget, and we kind of knew that we wanted to spend maybe 30 to 40% on named actors. And then we drew up a list from there. I think the really important thing with there's a lot of great films out there which don't see the light of day, and I think it's because distributors are looking for commercial names and they're looking for the value. And we kind of knew that going in, so we just approached it. We kind of set aside a set amount of money and thought we have to approach it that way. And actors aren't always as expensive as people think. If it's the right time and it's the right script, I think they'll go for it usually. So we were fortunate. We kind of got everyone we wanted, and that's quite rare. But on this one, we kind of ticked the boxes. So
I walked the earth night after night, watching the human circus, and I spotted one man. He's like an angel. I want him.
what was it like for you as a director to work with people like Rutger Hauer? I mean, was it daunting? Was it exciting? You know, tell us a little about that.
Yeah, it was terrifying, if I'm honest. It's, the guy turns up and you've watched him in like, you know, Blade Runner and loads of these films, The Hitcher. But he puts you at your ease very quickly. He's a solid professional. I think when you work with really strong professionals, you kind of, your nerves kind of go out the window and you just focus on the job in hand. So you kind of just have to approach it really, as long as you've got the respect there. And these guys come in and everyone respects them because they've got this huge body of work. So it's nerve-wracking, but you quickly adapt, I think, because you have to. And but no, he was great to work with. He was easy, and they all were really. They all gave a lot, you know. So we were lucky, very lucky.
I'm not going to call the police.